Hello, dear students. Welcome to our Gulel series with a new chapter, Anatomy of Flowering Plants. So, as we have studied in morphology, that the study of external life forms is called as morphology. Then, what is anatomy? It is the study of the internal structure of plants as well as other organisms. So, when we say flowering plants, we already know the flowering plants here implies the angiosperms. And जब भी हम एनाटॉमी की स्टडी करते हैं हम शुरुआत करते हैं कोई भी ऑर्गेनिज्म के टिश्यूज के साथ. Okay, so let us begin with the plant tissues. So as you are all familiar with the definition of a tissue, what is a tissue? It's a group of cells which perform similar functions, which has got a common origin. Like in the case of animals, we have ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. Even in plants, we have layers called dermatogen, peribelum, and the plerome. From these arise the different types of tissues. Let us talk about the classification of tissues. The tissues can be classified as meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. And this classification is on the basis of the ability of the cell to divide. Those cells which can undergo cell division are called as meristematic tissues. The cells which have lost their ability to divide and they have taken up a particular function are called as permanent tissues. Meristematic tissues can be further classified as a primary meristem or a secondary meristem. Primary meristem includes apical and intercalary, and secondary meristem includes vascular cambium and the cork cambium. Whereas the permanent tissues are classified as simple and complex, which includes parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, and the complex tissues include xylem and phloem. Now, we can further classify the meristems into different types. But before we talk about those, let us quickly see that when we classify the meristems as primary meristem and a secondary meristem, what does it mean to classify the primary as the meristem as primary and secondary? So, the meristematic cells undergo cell division. They have the ability to divide. Okay, and these meristem eventually will take up a specific function and they will become the primary permanent tissues. कुछ कुछ प्राइमरी परमानेंट टिश्यूज ऐसे हैं जैसे कि कैम्बियम हो गया. Even after they become a primary permanent tissue, they regain their ability to undergo cell division. तो फिर से उनके पास सेल डिवीजन की एबिलिटी आ गई, इसलिए हम उसको कहते हैं सेकेंडरी मेरिस्टेम. And then the secondary meristems will differentiate to form the secondary permanent tissues. Here you need to recall the definition of differentiated. Okay, the first one would be undifferentiated, then differentiated, then re de-differentiated and redifferentiated. तो उससे हमको पता चलेगा कि प्राइमरी मेरिस्टेम और सेकेंडरी मेरिस्टेम में क्या डिफरेंस होता है. To quickly recap, once upon a time, all the cells were same and they had the ability to undergo cell division. These are called as undifferentiated cells. But now these cells took up a specific function and they became primary permanent tissues of different types. Okay, now we say they have become differentiated. तो पहला स्टेप था कि undifferentiated थे. When they took up division of labor, they became differentiated. Now, some of them regained their ability to undergo cell division again. So जब एक प्राइमरी परमानेंट टिश्यू फिर से सेल डिवीजन स्टार्ट करता है, हम कहते हैं कि वो हो गया है डी डिफरेंशिएटेड. उसने अपना डिफरेंशिएशन खो दिया है. एंड सच अ primary permanent tissue which has become de-differentiated, it forms a secondary meristem. And now the secondary meristematic cells once again result in the formation of a new permanent tissue. And this process is called as redifferentiation. And that redifferentiated tissue is the secondary permanent tissue, and such growth is also called as secondary growth. Then, so this makes us very clear with the understanding of a primary meristem and a secondary meristem. So what is now left for us is to remember the examples of primary, apical and intercalary, secondary, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Now, to further discuss the meristems, we can classify the meristems on the basis of their position as apical, intercalary, and lateral meristems, where apical meristem include the shoot apical meristem and the root apical meristem, and the lateral meristem include the primary meristem and the secondary meristems. Now, अब हम थोड़ा सा डिटेल में डिस्कस करते हैं about the classification of the meristem on the basis of their position. Okay, see here. This is the plant body. Let us call this as the shoot system. This is the root system. So the meristem, which is present at the apex of the shoot, is called a shoot apical meristem, sham. And the meristem at the apex of the root is called as the root apical meristem, that is ram. So ram and sham, based upon their position, are called as the apical meristems. Right, it is. Now, these meristems, like the sham, the shoot apical meristem, will result in increase in the length of the plant body. So, initially it was here, the shoot apical meristem. Now it resulted in the increase in the length of the shoot. Now this is the new sham. Okay. So now what I find is कि थोड़ा सा शाम जो है वो रह गया है दो परमानेंट टिश्यूज के बीच में, एंड उसी को हम कहेंगे कि ये है इंटर कैलरी मेरिस्टम. So what is the intercalary meristem? It is the रह गया हुआ shoot apical meristem between the permanent tissues. और इसी मेरिस्टेम में से axillary buds भी develop हैं. So this also includes your axillary buds who on the basis of their origin are primary, but on the basis of their locations, they are intercalary. Then the lateral meristems are of two types, the primary and the secondary lateral meristems. So, primary will include the marginal and the intrafascicular cambium or the vascular cambium. And the secondary will include the cork cambium and the vascular cambium dicot roots and the interfascicular cambium and the cork cambium of the dicot stem and gymnospermic stems. तो देखिए स्टूडेंट्स, अब एक स्टेम है, इसको हम लोग ने कट किया ट्रांसफर सेक्शन में, and I see the presence of the vascular bundles. These vascular bundles include the tissues called xylem and phloem. So it includes xylem and phloem. Now, the cambium within the xylem and phloem, between the xylem and phloem, inside the vascular bundle, xylem and phloem is called the vascular bundle. जो कैम्बियम इस vascular bundle के अंदर है, उसको टर्म यूज करते हैं हम लोग इंट्रा fascicular cambium. ओके, उसको वर्ड हम क्या यूज करते हैं, इंट्रा fascicular cambium. एंड ये जो इंट्राफेस्कुलर कैम्बियम है, ये पोजीशन के हिसाब से लैटरल है और अपने ओरिजिन के हिसाब से ये प्राइमरी है. अब look at this yellow tissue that I've got. This is also cambium, but this cambium is present in between the vascular bundles. It is called interfascicular cambium. And the interfascicular cambium, with respect to its origin, is secondary. And with respect to its location, it is lateral. Okay. With respect to its origin, it is secondary because there is the ray parenchyma cells which get de-differentiated, resulting in the formation of the interfascicular cambium. Now, so in order to remove the confusion, let us write in our notes Sham, Ram, intercalary meristem, intrafascicular cambium, interfascicular cambium, and the cork cambium. मतलब ये जब स्टेम है और ये बाहर का लेयर है जिसको हम कहते हैं एपिडर्मिस, तो यहाँ पे कॉर्क कैम्बियम डेवलप. तो So, Sham, according to its position, according to its origin, let us see what it can be called. And we can add one more column on its function. So, shoot apical meristem with respect to its position is an apical meristem. With respect to its origin, it is primary. Function would be it increases the length of the shoot. A root apical meristem with respect to its position is apical. Origin it is primary and it will increase the length of the root. Intercalary meristem with respect to its position only it is called as intercalary. With respect to its origin it is primary. With respect to its function it will form the side branches and the shoots and the buds. Intrafaca it is lateral, origin के हिसाब से primary, increases the girth diameter, so it will help in the process of secondary growth. Interfa पोजीशन के हिसाब से lateral है, origin के हिसाब से secondary है, increases the girth secondary growth में help करता है. Cork cambium पोजीशन के हिसाब से lateral है, origin के हिसाब से secondary है. It will help in the formation of the chal, that is the bark of the plant. Okay, so this is how you can always remember these different types of meristems. Right? Now we are clear with this, with the tissues being meristematic and permanent. Meristematic being primary and secondary with respect to their origin. Meristematic being apical, intercalary, and lateral with respect to their position. Permanent tissues, simple and complex. Simple made up of only one type of cells. They are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Complex classified as xylem and phloem. Xylem is a complex permanent tissue which is further made up of xylem parenchyma, xylem tracheids, xylem vessels, and the xylem fibers. Phloem is made up of sieve tube elements, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and the phloem fibers.